The single most valuable resource in the Pokemon universe. Some spend hundreds of dollars accumulating it, others spend thousands of hours of time. And today, I'll be teaching you the best ways to get Stardust in Pokemon GO for free, and if you got a budget. Starting off with the very obvious tip number 1, Star Pieces. This is the most obvious Stardust farming method. You want more Stardust? Use a Star Piece. Star Pieces cost 100 Pokecoins in the shop, or 640 for 8 of them, and they boost your overall Stardust collection by 50% for 30 minutes. They're best used when doing high Stardust activities like hatching eggs, catching tons of Pokemon, boosted Stardust events. Like with Lucky Eggs in the XP guide, Star Pieces basically just complement every single other strategy we'll be doing today. So you don't need them, you don't have to use them, but if you're gonna do high Stardust things like we'll talk about today, throwing that Star Piece down, getting 50% extra Stardust could be a huge difference. But again, you don't need them. But what you do need is to follow the next tip, simply catching Pokemon. But there's more strategy than just catching. Catching Pokemon is obviously what the franchise is about. Literally gotta catch them all. Catch them all. But again, there's a bit of a deeper strategy. Not every single Pokemon is worth the same amount of Stardust. The higher evolved a Pokemon is, the more dust it will be worth when you catch it. Stage 1 Pokemon are base 100 Stardust, 150 with Star Piece. Stage 2, 300 dust. And a fully evolved Pokemon will be 500 Stardust to catch, or 750 with that Star Piece. Also, certain weather affects certain Pokemon and Pokemon spawns, and it affects the Stardust that certain Pokemon are worth when you catch them. And you can tell if a Pokemon is weather boosted by a white circular ring moving around it. It's like wind moving around the Pokemon. It's getting suckled into a tornado. And here are which weather boosts boost which Pokemon typings. Rainy weather will boost electric, bug, and water. Partly cloudy will boost normal and rock. Cloudy, fairy, poison, and fighting. Sunny, fire, grass, and ground. Fog, ghost, and dark. And windy will boost psychic, dragon, and flying. But that's not all, there's even more strategy. There are special select Stardust boosted Pokemon, which means they're just worth more Stardust when you catch them. And some of them are worth a lot more Stardust when you catch them. So if there's an event happening when these specific Pokemon are spawning, might want to pay attention, might want to try to catch as many of these as you can. They include 500 Stardust Pokemon, Meowth, Paris, Shroomish, Fungus, and Delibird, 700 Dust Pokemon, Persian, Parasect, Breloom, and Amoonguss, 750 Dust Pokemon, Alolan Meowth, Staryu, Sableye, Combi, and Trubbish, 950 Dust Pokemon, Alolan Persian, Starmie, Vespiquen, and Garbodor, 1000 Dust for catching Shelder and Chimecho. Shelder was spawning during GoFest. I was really trying with that one. 1200 Stardust for catching a Cloyster, and the Big Daddy, 2100 Dust for catching Audino, which was spawning in GoFest, and I think is a part of a recent event. Audino spawns typically in February for like the Valentine's Day event, and others as well. Hatching eggs. Okay, obviously hatching eggs is more of a premium strategy because you do have to pay for the egg incubators, but you do always have one infinite free egg incubator that you should always be using to hatch something, a 2 kilometer, a 5 kilometer. I usually hatch my 2 kilometers with that, but always have that incubator running because here's how much Stardust you get from hatching eggs. A 2 kilometer egg will give you somewhere between 400 to 800 dust. 5 kilometers give between 600 to 1,000. 7 kilometers, 800 to 1,600. 10 kilometers, 1,600 to 3,200. And the Big Daddy 12 kilometer eggs, as annoying as they are to get and to hatch, they give you anywhere between 3,200 and 6,400 Stardust per egg. And that's not even with a Star Piece down, dude. Again, a premium feature, but if you want to throw some money into incubators, usually it's better to do during a special event where either there's boosted Stardust rates or just better Pokemon in the eggs. Battling. Not go battling, but like battling your friends and team leaders. There's like a tiny amount of Stardust to be gained from battling the team leaders daily and from battling your friends daily, but it's not really enough to be like a viable Stardust strategy. If you're just bored and you have nothing else to do, you can do that, get a couple extra 100 dust. Opening gifts. You can open up to 30 gifts per day, if I remember correctly, and gifts give between 100 to 300 Stardust when opened. That's like between 1,000 to 9,000 Stardust per day, just from opening gifts. And on top of that, you're strengthening your friendship with your fellow trainers. Raids. Very simply, raids give you 1,000 Stardust per raid. It is just an expensive thing to do, so it's more of like a complementary strategy. Like if you're doing raids to do shiny legendary raids, you'll just get some Stardust with it, which is nice. It's definitely not like its own strategy. but it does give you dust, so use your free raid pass every day. Looking at my champion badge, I've done 7,402 normal raids, which at 1,000 dust per raid equals 7.4 million Stardust. And for my legendary raids, I've gained like 5.5 million Stardust. First catch of the day and 7-day streak. Every single day you get 1,800 Stardust for the first catch of the day. And by hitting your 7-day streak, which means you caught one Pokemon once a day, every day for 7 days in a row, you get 9,000 Stardust. It is really worth just logging in and catching the free Pokemon that spawns on you every day. It will stay there all day until the next day happens or until you catch it. Just catch your Pokemon. 7-day streak, very underrated. Auto catchers. Items like the Pokemon GO Plus or the Pokeball Plus basically allow you to catch Pokemon without having to actually throw balls on your phone. This is super duper nice when you're like focused on other things, or you're walking around and your phone's in your pocket, or you're talking to someone, you want to see the area that you're in. Like I'm in France right now, so it's kind of nice to have the Pokemon GO Plus, just clicking and catching Pokemon while I'm like looking around. And this will basically allow you to just keep catching Pokemon even when you can't be like looking at your phone and throwing balls. You could still be catching Pokemon, still be accumulating Stardust. Adventure Sync. At level 5, you unlock the ability to turn on Adventure Sync, which is in your settings, which basically tracks your movement when the game is closed. And if you walk a certain amount of kilometers weekly with Adventure Sync enabled, you'll get a beefy little Stardust bonus. If you walk 25 kilometers, you get 500 dust. If you walked 50 kilometers, you'll get 1,000 Stardust. And if you walk a whopping 100 kilometers, you get 16,000 Stardust. So if you're on the track team, make sure you're wearing like your Apple Watch or your Samsung Watch, or you get your phone in your pocket or something so you can track those kilometers so your phone can keep track of it. Dumping berries. And I don't mean dropping the berry kids off at the pool. When your item bag gets full, the berries are usually like the first thing to go. But instead of dumping your berries and just deleting them, you can go to gyms that are the same color as the team that you're on. So if you're on Team Mystic, you can go to blue gyms and get some extra Stardust. Every time you feed a berry to a Pokemon in a gym, you get 30 Stardust. And you can feed up to 10 berries to each Pokemon, which equals 300 dust per Pokemon per gym. And you can feed 10 different Pokemon every 30 minutes, which means if you have a bunch of gyms nearby that have Pokemon that need feeding, you could earn up to 3,000 Stardust every 30 minutes, 6,000 dust an hour. That's pretty good. Looking at my Berry Master badge, I've fed 16,145 berries in gyms, which equates to about 484,000 Stardust. Dub. Field research tasks. There are always events happening in Pokemon GO with like special event field research tasks. Usually there's one that gives you bonus Stardust, which is always worth looking out for. And even if there isn't, there are always sponsored Pokestops like Starbucks stops. And by spinning them, you get a special sponsored field research that usually either rewards you with 1 rare candy or 1,000 Stardust. Super worth doing, and they're always easy. Team Go Rocket. Okay, I get it. Grinding Team Go Rocket encounters is just that. Grinding. It takes a long time. It's kind of annoying sometimes, especially when the freaking balloon's in the way, or the Pokemon you're trying to click is under the Team Go Rocket Grunt. Now, it does take a lot of time, but it does reward really good Stardust by battling down these Team Go Rocket members. And it also gives you the chance at some really good, like, meta-relevant Shadow Pokemon, which is nice. Defeating Grunts in Pokemon GO gives you 500 Stardust per Grunt, and defeating Leaders gives you 1,000 Stardust. And looking at my hero badge that isn't Platinum, embarrassingly enough, I've defeated 1,436 Team Go Rocket Grunts, which equates to about 718,000 Stardust. Pretty good! And that's assuming that those are all Grunts. There's a mixture of team leaders in there, so it's more than that. Probably closer to like 900,000. PvP. Currently in Pokemon GO, PvP is the literal #1 way to farm Stardust in the game. By design, I feel like. They want people using the system, so they're gonna make it OP. In the Go Battle League, you can do up to 30 battles per day. I'm currently rank 1, and if I were to win all of my battles, I would get 900 Stardust, which is pretty good at rank 1. And then also at the end of every season, depending on your rank, you get a massive Stardust bonus reward just for completing the season out. It's a bit hard to tell exactly how much Stardust you can get from the Go Battle League because it's apparently always changing. But looking at my totals, which it tells you at the top, which is cool, I've done 712 battles, I've won 421 times, and from that I've earned roughly 900,000 Stardust, which is pretty good, and I literally never battle in the Go Battle League. I probably should, considering I'm at a total of, wait for it, 186,000 Stardust. I need this video. I wish I could give a more calculated answer on exactly how much dust you can get from Go Battle League, but I think if you grind out all of your battles every single day, you go to the end of the season, you really grind it, it's somewhere between 1 to 2 million, 2 to 3 million. You could easily earn over 1 million dust in one season. but obviously if you're grinding. Luckily, it's kind of like an easy thing to do in your free time, but yeah, GBL, the way to go for Dust. And finally, special events. Special events are always happening in Pokemon Go. It's very rare that we go a full week or two without some special event happening. And for a lot of these events, we get like an added Stardust bonus. Whether it's more Stardust from catching Pokemon or hatching or raiding, it's usually a nice little complementary bonus feature. Although getting a boosted Stardust bonus isn't really as common as I would like, even when there's no boosted Stardust, there's always one event that we can count on 100% of the time. Spotlight Hour. Every month there are 4 Spotlight Hour events, and one of the 4 is always 2 times catch Stardust. 1 hour, double catch Stardust, drop your 2-star pieces, catch everything, and stack up that sweet Stardust, baby. And that's today's guide on how to farm Stardust in Pokemon Go. If you found this helpful, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and click on the other video on screen. I know you'll like it. Take care.